Well, I'm joined now by Anna Walker from the tax protest group UK Uncut and Ruth Porter from the free market think tank, the Institute of Economic Affairs. Ruth Porter first. I mean, Margaret Hodge hit the nail on the head there, didn't it? It's not illegal, but it is immoral, isn't it? When you look at all the tricks that MPs have accused the business of, manipulating tax profits to minimise tax and channeling sales to lower tax countries.
I think we need to be very careful here. I mean, the situation is incredibly complex. It's being presented as something which is very simple when it's actually not. If you look at the size and scale of these multinationals, I mean, to give you an idea, Starbucks operates in more than 60 countries. And of course, you know, they should be clear, it's moral and legal that they accurately represent what they're doing in terms of IP, what they're doing in terms of buying different products off different subsidiaries within different tax jurisdictions. And there has been, you know, HMRC may well need to investigate in a whole range of different circumstances for a whole range of different companies, and they can do that. But the big question here is we will expect these companies to try and minimise the amount of tax that they're paying.
Anna Walker, that's the case, isn't it? Global marketplace, businesses are going to go where tax is lowest. That's good business.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. What we know is that Starbucks has claimed that they haven't paid, they haven't paid any corporation tax in the UK whatsoever for the last 3 years for the reason that they haven't made any profits in the UK for a very long time now. And so I'm not sure how their business can be a good business model, even though their chief execs are telling their investors that it's an excellent business model. And let's be very clear, it is incredibly immoral in the context of economic austerity and the cuts for these big businesses to be let off scot-free by the government. This is a political choice by the government to not clamp down on tax avoiders like Starbucks.
Ruth Porter, do you believe that Starbucks is making a loss in the UK? Does that ring true? Didn't to the MPs?
Well, I don't know enough about the coffee market to know exactly the specifics of that, and HMRC can already look at that. But companies do have an element of discretion about which countries they choose to put their tax revenue through and where they want to base themselves. And the reality is that in Britain, we are not competitive when it comes to corporate tax. We sit around the average, so companies are of course going to go and base themselves elsewhere and channel their profits through other countries.
Anna Walker, isn't that the problem? UK corporation tax double what it is in Ireland.
Indeed, and look at Ireland's economy. It's not going very well there. It's not going very well here for thousands and thousands of people, especially single mothers who are absolutely on the breadline. They are making choices today about whether they can afford to feed their families or heat the house because of the huge cuts to services like refuges, rape crisis centres that women are absolutely dependent on in the UK.
But this grandstanding by MPs might play well with voters, but it's not going to help businesses, leading businesses, revive the economy, is it?
Well, I think that the government has an obligation to tackle tax avoidance. The Public Accounts Committee should absolutely be scrutinising the tax affairs of multinational companies who are not paying any tax in the UK.
Ruth Porter?
We need to be very careful that we don't vilify businesses here. I mean, piling more taxes on businesses and taking more revenue from them, that's going to do things like cost jobs. It's going to damage these companies' productivity. It's going to take money which would otherwise be invested elsewhere in the economy. We're at a really fragile time of recovery, and actually at the moment we need to be looking at how can we help business, how can we cut taxes, how can we simplify taxes.
Ruth Porter, Anna Walker, thank you very much for joining us.